Culture swap.
Swap my culture, Liam.
Stranger Things season 2.
Very good.
This was released Halloween weekend.
It's going to be full of... Whoa! It's going to be full of spoilers, people.
Yep, I finished watching this about literally 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we timed it really well, if I remember rightly. Like, both of us, didn't we sort of time it out so that we were finishing...
Yeah.
Oh, no, maybe I did. I can't remember.
Yeah, you did. I finished it a bit earlier than you did. But yeah, if we had recorded this on time, which would have been over a week ago,
yeah,
that would have been good.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Liam was going through some stuff.
Yeah. So here we are, trying to remember what happened in season 2
I
of
remember what
Stranger
happened. I feel like probably some of the finer details have been lost.
Yeah. Okay, let's start with, how did this compare to season 1 for you?
That's a good question. I think season 1 is better.
Okay.
Not by a whole lot.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's stuff in season 2 that I liked a lot more than season 1. Like, I think I've said this before on the show. Like, I love when there's, like, lore to be discovered in these sort of things. So, like, the Upside Down is awesome and fascinating. And in season 1, you get one creature from the Upside Down, right?
Yeah, a Demogorgon.
Like, so it's this whole mysterious, like, what the fuck is the Upside Down? What's happening there? And then season 2, suddenly it's like, oh, actually, there's this big fuck-off monster in the Upside Down. And baby Demogorgons, or possibly a new type of thing.
Yeah.
So, like, that, to me, is awesome, because I'm like, cool, I get to learn more about this weird alternate dimension.
Yeah. What I find interesting about it, and what I like, is the fact that the stuff that we've seen so far, the characters refer to them via their knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes, I do like the scene in this season that calls that out, where Dustin just busts out his monster manual, and it starts explaining what a mind flayer is, and then there's just this like the what's the policeman's name?
Hopper.
That's a fucking hell. When Hopper's just like, sorry, are we relying on this book? And they're like, yeah, this is all we've got. And then there is just like a bit later where Dustin's like, okay, yeah, this doesn't make any sense. I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of agree with you. Not quite as good as season 1, but very close.
Yeah. It's got its problems.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that, but before we get to that,
okay.
Let's do a quick synopsis, right? Basically, following the events of season 1, where Will was stuck in the Upside Down for most of it, and we met 11.
Yep.
In this one now, 11 is basically being looked after by Hopper in secret.
Yep.
Will, at the end of season 1, coughed up a weird slug thing.
Yep.
That returns. And he keeps getting these weird, like, it's not like a flashback, it's more like a transition where
it's more like a seizure.
Yeah, but he'll suddenly see like the Upside Down in the place
he'll flick into the Upside Down and meet every single time he goes there. He meets this giant monster thing.
Yeah. Now, considering we didn't really see a lot of Will in the first season, I thought that Noah Schnapp, who plays him in this one, did an excellent job.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also is a sort of says a good thing about season 1, that even though we didn't get a whole lot of Will in season 1, in this season I felt like I knew him, sort of thing, because he feels like part of the gang.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like they've got a new addition. It flows very easily with this is their friend who was missing.
Yeah, and I wonder as well, right, because obviously, because you don't get to see a whole lot of him, I wonder, did they just luck out by casting a kid who could act really well, or did they audition knowing that he would play a bigger part down the road?
No, they must have known that he'd play a big part.
You'd hope so.
And also, I mean, to be fair, even though we don't see a lot, the acting he does in season 1...
it's good, but the acting in season 2 is just like next level, essentially.
Yeah, no, that is the other thing. These kids are all really good actors.
Yeah, like annoyingly good.
They're amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah. Okay, things I liked about this season. I want to do that first because I've got a few things I didn't like as well. My favourite thing about the season, hands down, is Joe Keery as Steve Harrington.
Yep. Oh my god, yep.
Like, I don't really remember what I thought of him in the last season. I think
we thought he was a dick, and I think he is.
Yeah.
I think in season 1 he's the dick.
Yeah. This season, they just do something excellent with his character, which is make him basically like a babysitter.
Yes.
And it's like they team him up with Dustin, And that's the spark of genius, I think, because they play off of each other so well.
Yeah, the Steve-Dustin relationship is so good.
Yeah, like Dustin was my favourite character in the first season, and he's still amazing in this one. Just Steve, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the surprise to it, that I wasn't expecting how much I would like Steve.
Yeah.
But just, it worked so damn well.
Yeah, no, that honestly, that just the way that grows. I mean, it's so good the way it goes from, because it almost towards the beginning of the season when Nancy and him sort of break up.
Yep.
It could very easily go to a point where Steve isn't written out but just becomes a minor character.
Yeah.
And then just that scene of Dustin being like, I need your help.
Yeah.
And Steve just pulling out his spiky baseball bat. And you're like, oh, okay, no, Steve is definitely staying in this season.
Yeah, I think it's when Dustin's like, do you have the bat? And Steve's like, what bat? And then Dustin's just like, the one with the nails. Like, just really like, duh.
Yeah.
It was, I think what's good about this as well, they did it well in the first season, but in this one, the kids are believably kid-like.
Yeah.
Like not annoyingly so. But
no,
like,
they're not annoying kids. It's because they're like the sort of kids that when I was a kid, I probably would have hung out with.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they're the outcasts and the weirdos.
Yeah, the ones that will play Dungeons and Dragons and
exactly.
in the audiovisual club. And, yes. You know, I like the science teacher's favourite students.
Yes.
I'm disappointed we didn't get to see more of the science teacher. He's great.
He is great. I like him.
I remember his
too.
name. Is Mr. something? Oh, Mr. Clark.
Cool.
Okay. I also thought that the addition of Max was good. I didn't like her at first, but really liked her by the end.
I think that's deliberate.
Yeah.
And it's meant to be the way, because that is what her character is like. Is sort of the hard, unlikable kid.
Yeah.
Because she's super tough because she's being effectively abused.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that leads to one of my favourite scenes of this season is the Steve and Billy showdown.
Yeah,
where
that was
they
great.
just, because Billy the whole season has basically, he's Max's older brother who's also moved to town with her.
Yeah.
And he has heard that Steve is like the tough guy who's in charge of the school.
Yeah, he's like the cool kid.
I think by the end of season 1 is sort of not true anymore because Steve has sort of changed because of the shit that's happened to them.
Yeah.
So Billy comes in and keeps just effectively trying to bully Steve, who's just like, why are you doing this? I don't get it. Why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And then they have a showdown where Steve and him just have a punching match that Steve loses.
Yeah.
And then Max just badassly injects her stepbrother with like a tranquilizer.
See, I had issues with Billy throughout the season, right? Lots of issues.
He's very much the obvious dickhead.
He is, and also it became obvious by about, I want to say like a good 2 or 3 episodes before the end, how the end was going to play out in like broad strokes. Like,
yeah,
it was obvious that 11 and Mike were going to go in one direction, and then it was kind of like, well, the rest of the kids need something to be up against, and that something is going to have to be like a more human element than the upside down stuff that Mike and 11 are facing, and that's where Billy fits in. Like, it just, to me, it became it was one of my issues with the show, is there was a few moments where things were a little bit too obvious.
So can we delay this conversation?
Yeah, because I want to talk about Sean Astin.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because I think it's going to lead to a discussion, because I've got thoughts about this. While I agree with you, I have thoughts about this.
Yeah, well, I was going to bring it back to something I did like about Billy, right?
Okay.
I loved the scene where he meets Nancy. No, not Nancy. Nancy's mum.
Yeah. And just flirts with her outrageously.
Yes. That scene was, to me, like, almost redeemed how much I hated Billy for the rest of the show.
Yeah, because he is a horrible person.
Yeah, but not in that, just like, because you are supposed to hate him.
Yeah.
It's not so much that's what I'm saying. It's more I hated just the way he was being used in the show.
Right, got you.
But I loved that scene.
Yeah, that was a very good scene.
Yeah, Sean Astin. Or did you have something else you wanted to say about Billy?
No.
Sean Astin, again, didn't think I would really like the character he was playing at the start when they first introduced him. Thought he was great.
I mean, he was in season 1, wasn't he?
No.
Was he not at all?
No, not at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I remembered him. Maybe I'm just yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, again, bit obvious how they're going to use him.
Okay,
I liked him.
Talk about the character first.
I'm saying I liked him.
Yeah, just talk about that then.
That's what I did.
I really like the bit that made me love his character.
Yeah.
Was when Will is having his episodes, and because Will gets infected by this big giant monster, it like spreads into him or something.
Yeah, it essentially becomes like a parasite within him, right?
Yeah,
that's the way they describe it.
But then it's not a parasite in that it's a small thing that's inside his body. It's somehow connected to him, even though it's this giant, horrible monster.
Yeah.
But so he's drawing all these like tendrils that they figure out that they connect together and make a giant map.
Yeah.
And poor Bob just gets asked to come round, told he's not allowed to ask any questions, and is trying desperately not to, and then keeps being like, "Can someone just tell me what's happening?" And they keep shooting him down, and then suddenly he just goes, oh, "Wait," and just goes into this like puzzle solving mode, which I just loved, as he quickly just breaks down exactly what it is, figures out it's a map of the city.
Yeah. No, that was a great thing.
So good. Now you can talk about the bit you want to complain about.
No, I'm still on things I like. I also really liked Hopper.
Yeah, Hopper was really good.
And
I like his relationship with Elle.
Yeah, that's literally what I was about to say. That was good. There was a lot of stuff that was good about this show. Now I'm going to talk about stuff that I didn't like. I just don't think that it detracts from how much I enjoyed the show.
No, yeah. I think people get that when we talk.
Good. So stuff I didn't like. I really, really struggled with the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, I didn't get this. You said this to me when you started, and I wasn't sure why.
Yeah. The first 2 episodes, to me, it was too much. Like, imagine you're watching it sat next to someone, and they just keep nudging you, and they just go, "This is set in the 80s." Just constantly throughout the whole episode. It just got distracting to the point of annoyance.
See, I didn't particularly get that.
Yeah, and I don't know how you missed it, because it was just...
No. I don't think it's that I missed anything. I think it's that sometimes you read too deeply into stuff.
I don't think that's true.
Because if it is set in the 80s, right? Which it is.
Yeah.
There's going to be a bunch of 80s shit. So I think
there is,
but every time you saw something from the 80s, you were like, "Oh, why won't they just let this go?" And it's because it's set in the 80s.
It's not... Right. There's a way of doing it, which I think they did well in the first season, but I think... And to be fair, the rest of this season too, the issue is when there'll be like a shot, right, where it's just a cinema and it's just a marquee and it's just like, oh, Ghostbusters in a cinema. And it's just like, it's when there's single shots and literally the only focus of the shot is to remind you what year this is set in. There was a lot of that in the first 2 episodes.
I don't think that is what the Ghostbusters stuff is doing, though. Because later on, the Ghostbusters stuff ties back into it.
Yeah, it does, but... when that adds into all of the other stuff, it becomes a bit of a trend. I
didn't feel that at all.
Yeah, I only really noticed it in the first 2 episodes.
Okay.
And then they kind of calmed down for the rest. I felt like they didn't really know what to do with 11 in this show, in this season. And that she's such an important part of the first season, right?
Yeah.
And basically... what we wanted to see as the audience was her reunited with the friends.
Yeah.
And I get that they wanted to draw that out, and like it is really sweet in like, you know, the penultimate episode where that finally happens. But it's also frustrating kind of not being given that, because it's not like they give her a lot else to do. It is literally, there's like 6 episodes where her storyline is, you're in this hut, stay there.
Yeah, I think the problem they had felt like they knew what they were doing in the fact that, right, Elle has opened this gate.
Yeah.
So we know that Elle is going to have to close it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we also know that we're going to have character development with her past.
Yeah.
And we know that we're going to have like a scene of her getting better at her powers, because that's all stuff that people would kick off if it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Or not kick off, but be like, oh my god, I just wish I knew more about Elle's past. Why are they not giving this to me?
Yeah.
The unfortunate thing is that those 3 things don't necessarily fit into the rest of the story that easily. The final scene obviously does.
Yeah.
But the Elle's past kind of works.
Yeah, kind of.
I didn't mind the episode where she was sort of getting that, but I think the real problem was let's train her up and make her stronger.
Yeah, that was the weakest episode, and I think I've seen that being discussed a lot online.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, because it's such a weird episode to suddenly hit this season.
Yeah, so let's go into that, shall we? So that's episode 7.
Yeah.
It kind of comes along at a really weird moment in the season as well, where basically shit just starts like really kicking off and going down, and then the show just pauses on all of that. That's really engaging, really interesting, to the point where I think it was quite late at night and we just finished episode 6 where it ends on this huge thing happening. And I turned to Kat and I was like, well, we have to watch the next one now, right? And she was like, no, it's too late, I need to go to bed. And I can't imagine how disappointed I would have been
had you watched it.
Yeah, and it was like literally an hour where nothing that you care about actually happens. It's just it's 11 going to what city is it?
Is it Seattle?
It might have been, yeah. And basically she just hangs out with some like older misfits, basically.
Yeah.
And they use her powers for nefarious goods.
Yeah, and she meets her sister, another child who was part of the same experiments.
Yeah, was it 8? Yeah. So we don't know what's happened to 9 or 10.
No, that is the one thing that I sort of like, because I like the fact that they're saying there are more of these kids.
Yeah, and I feel like this episode 7 is going to play into things more later on.
Yeah, it does feel like it's going to be one of those things. It just comes at a weird time, and it doesn't super fit this season. And
it also does worry me if this is the direction that the show wants to end up going down.
I don't think it will. I don't think it will go the shit direction. I have enough faith in them after these 2 seasons.
Yeah, I would hope so. Because that's the thing, like everything that's happening in Hawkins, where the show is majority set, is really interesting. As soon as we go away from there, I don't care. Like 11 going to visit her mum, I didn't really care about that stuff.
I liked it because I like the fact that in season 1, you know, Elle is trying to learn emotion because she's such a fucked up kid, and I like the fact that you get that Elle is a kid and meets her mum and is just sort of distraught that she's tried to meet her for this long and her mum is just effectively a vegetable.
Yeah. One thing I did forget to mention of the things that I liked was, again, Winona Ryder does another good performance, and I really like how quickly she believes Will.
Yes, that is such a good thing for them to keep going.
Yeah, because there's a really annoying trope in this sort of thing where a kid or someone will see something and then they spend like in movies, they've spent like an hour of the movie just trying to convince everyone else that what they've seen is real, and we as an audience know it is. So it's a really frustrating experience for us to watch the other characters finally catch up to the stage that we've been at for the last hour.
Yeah, yeah.
So I liked that they kind of...
It makes sense for her. It would be weirder for her character to not believe him after the shit that she went through in season 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Where she was effectively... everyone else thought she had gone mad.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I swear to you, there's like a face coming out of my wall and my son keeps calling me on the phone and the lights are sending me messages.
I also really like the scene where Nancy and Jonathan go to the conspiracy guy.
Yes.
And he just kind of manages to pick out their relationship and kind of cut to the core of it really quickly.
Yeah.
That was great. Sorry, I remembered a couple more things that I liked. Back to the stuff we didn't like.
Yeah.
I think a lot of season 7 was a huge misstep. Back to what I was saying earlier, the predictability of some of the things.
So Bob and Billy.
Yeah. So Bob, it was just so obvious. He's such a nice guy who is kind of not necessarily a weakling, but not necessarily the bravest.
He's like if the main characters grew up without the weird shit happening.
Right, exactly.
They would all be Bobs.
Yes, and he's so thankful to be with Joyce, and he's constantly like, who would have thought, back at high school that I would end up dating Joyce Byers? It's such a sweet thing. And it just becomes really, really obvious that he has to die.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious that he's going to die, and then the episode where he does die...
It's still sad.
It is really sad, because I really like Bob. And the way he dies is really sad. Effectively sacrificing himself to save Joyce and Will and Hopper.
Yeah, but the thing is, I hate how obvious it is that's going to happen, because when I say he has to die, it's only because that would be that character's trope, that stereotype.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that they didn't play with that more. really, he didn't have to die, sort of thing. You know, like I would have found it a lot more interesting to have kept him around, because at the moment, right, it feels like Joyce and Hopper are almost kind of being pushed together, and I think having Bob in the middle of that would have complicated that relationship.
I see. If Bob hadn't died, I don't think Joyce and Hopper would get together. But they will get together.
Yeah, but exactly. It would have been a more interesting journey to them getting together with Bob still there at the moment.
I don't think they would have.
I mean,
but anyway,
yeah.
So I agree with you, right? I don't like when things are this predictable.
Yeah.
That whole episode, you know that Bob's going to die the moment he's like, "I've got this."
Yeah, I think for me it was it was when he's driving with Will in the car. Like I think the first half of the scene or something, he's talking about the experience he had with the clown.
Yeah.
From that moment on, I was like, this character is not going to last until next season.
Yeah. So not my issue, but I think it's interesting, and I might be wrong thinking this, but have we got to a point with media in general, like TV shows, films, where we have seen, I know that especially the Bob one is a stereotype, but are we at the point where it's almost impossible to not fall into the tropes? Because I know you're saying it would be interesting to have Bob around, and it would.
Yeah.
But I wonder if the story that they've got laid out, which to me seems like a good story, season 1 and 2 are really good. The story as an overall is really good. So I wonder if it just, because I get that they should be trying to push things and do different things, which they do with Joyce, and that works.
Yeah.
But I do wonder if it makes it more difficult for them to the point where it would actually negatively affect the overall story. Because these things must be tropes for a reason, right?
Yeah.
There's a reason things become tropes, and that's because they tend to make better stories. And I know that that's not always true, but I do wonder. I think it's just interesting that perhaps we've just gotten to a point where these things are so obvious, but also that's just because we've seen so much. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, potentially.
Like, I wonder if Bob wasn't going to die, there would obviously be some stuff that didn't happen, and then it wouldn't be obvious that Bob was going to die because he wouldn't die. And then I wonder if we just wouldn't notice. Like, I wonder how many things we don't notice because they're not in it. Do you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm sort of following you.
So it would have been easy this season for them to kill off one of the kids, right? And make that be a thing, which they didn't do.
Yeah, and I'm pleased they didn't.
Yeah, because that would be horrible and stupid, because we love those kids. They're great.
Yeah.
But, like, that, I could easily see a Stranger Things story of season 2 where one of the kids dies, right?
Yeah.
But because they don't do that, that's not obvious. But if one of the kids was going to die, the only way they could set it up would end up making that obvious that one of the kids was going to die. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I guess.
I think I might be going mad, Liam. Trying to figure this out in my head.
If they were going to kill a kid in season 2, Will would be the obvious choice, just because he's been through so much shit and he's got this link.
Yeah, there could be because he's the cleric, right?
Yeah.
That's what they always say. So there could be the obvious, like, to heal the party, the cleric sacrifices himself.
Yeah. Equally, I guess. So okay, they were never ever going to kill Mike.
No. Or 11.
Or 11. Dustin, you could argue, well, he's like the funny sidekick, so you could argue that if he was to die, it would have been obvious. And then Lucas, you just go, well, of course they killed the black one first.
Jesus.
Well, that's like that's a horror movie trope, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So I'm not, I'm just saying that I think I'm following what you're saying, and that whatever they would have done, you could have argued it was a trope.
Yeah, because it's almost exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I'm just wondering if so many tropes exist now that it is almost impossible to not fall into the tropes. Because effectively, they could do it by not killing anyone. But I think that would be shit. Like, I wouldn't be scared of the Demogorgon or the Demigod dogs or the Mind Flayer if they didn't kill anything, because I'd be like, they're a bit shit.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. I'm not saying that we're wrong for thinking it's
but okay,
bad.
No,
That
all right, here's the thing then, right?
Yeah.
It's potentially not necessarily the fact that they kill him, it's the fact that they telegraph his death so early on by setting up the character to be that trope. Whereas if the character himself had maybe been a bit different, it wouldn't have been so obvious that, one, he was going to die, and two, he was going to essentially die by sacrificing himself or doing something heroic or something out of character. And that's where the trope comes in. It's not that he's dead, it's that he has ticked off these very specific criteria.
Yeah, that's fair.
And equally, like I was saying with Billy, that I liked that storyline. it just became very obvious a little bit too early for me that, okay, we're going to have this split here. We need something for these kids and Steve to be against.
Yeah, so it's going to be Billy, who we've set up as the antagonist of both Steve and Max.
Exactly.
And Lucas.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I kind of wanted them to just go a little bit more into that. Like, there is a...
It felt like they were trying to be like, look, racism existed in these times.
Yeah.
This character's a racist, but they didn't quite want to go, Billy's a racist.
Yeah, they didn't want to draw that much attention to it, I don't think. But I kind of felt like it needed it.
Yeah, it did sort of feel that way. I did feel like either they were holding back the punch on that one.
Yeah.
Or just trying to be a bit too subtle to be like, we know, but also let's not focus on it too much. But yeah.
I also really hated the scene with Billy and his dad, because the way they set Billy up for the rest of this, all the stuff we see before that, I was watching that scene, I was like, there is no way this character wouldn't just like punch the dad back or something. And again, I get what they're doing.
That's not true though.
No, but
I think that's actually more. I think what they showed was more true than what you think.
Well, no, but like again, it comes back into it. It becomes a trope then. Oh, the bully.
100%.
So that's why I'm like
the kid that gets beaten and then becomes a beater.
Yeah, so I'm just like, it would have been more interesting. I just think without that element, I don't think you need to explain why he's the way he is.
Yeah, I mean, I spent most of the season with Billy and Max, assuming that it was that the parents had either walked out or just were like neglectful in the fact that they don't care about their kids, which I think was quite interesting. And then the fact that it became he's actually like abusing Billy, I was like, oh, okay, well,
yeah, it was unnecessary.
Yeah, like even for Billy to be the way he was, like I know they would, like you said, they were setting it up for the like make him an antagonist sort of thing.
Yeah,
but I don't think you needed that character to be as much of a dick as he is.
No.
He was too obviously the baddie. Like, the number of times he did something so dickheaded that he was you were like, I like when a character's a bit more grey, and like just because his dad abuses him, what he is doing is so fucked up that it doesn't, like, I don't want someone to get beaten, but also he's such a dickhead about everything that he's the baddie. So when the baddie has bad stuff happen to him, you're not like, oh, the poor guy. You're like, God, he keeps trying to hit Max. Maybe he should stop that.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly just didn't think you needed that scene. I
don't think you did, yeah.
There was enough established... You could read into it enough of why he's a dick without having that scene also in there.
Yeah, yeah.
I only really have two other like issues that I want to talk about, and one isn't necessarily something that happens within the show itself from a narrative perspective.
Do you want to do that as the second point then?
Yeah, so the first point... this is something that I've seen a lot of people whinging about on Twitter, and I want to kind of argue against that. I saw a lot of negativity around the scene where Elle sees Max with Mike on the skateboard.
Yep.
And Elle does her little telekinesis stuff and makes Max fall off the skateboard. And there was a huge backlash to that on Twitter of being like, oh, do we have to go down this female jealousy like route?
Yep.
I personally feel like it's entirely believable that these kids are 12, 13?
Yep.
I did not see that as like a out of character thing, especially for someone like 11 who has a very sheltered upbringing so far and is still trying to figure out just the way things work. To see that and react in the way she did, it would have been, I think, weirder for her to see that and just go, that's normal.
Yeah, because I think the unfortunate part of it isn't necessarily what their intention was, right? But perhaps the way that's done is a bit... Because that does sort of lead into the idea of it being female jealousy, in the fact that it's the love interest of the main character seeing said main character with another girl and assuming that they're... And it's very obvious that she assumes there is something romantic, with air quotes, going on. And I think the way Elle is, that would have worked just as easily if she saw Max like threatening the friendship she has.
Yeah.
Because you don't need the romance element for these kids. Like, I love it. I love that Elle and Mike are obviously like...
Oh, that is something that I wanted to say I liked, was the whole snow dance at the end. That was just brilliant.
Yeah, exactly. That whole scene is so good.
From Dustin showing up with Steve in the car, it was just...
And then getting to dance with Nancy.
Yeah. That was the only bit that
Oh yeah, but you've got a problem. Whatever, we're going to get distracted. Don't talk about this now. You're going to get distracted.
Oh,
let's deal with I'm distracted now. Let's deal with the big issue though, because you're going to talk about how you feel sorry for a kid for dancing with a hot girl. Let's talk about the fact that you're trying to
a pity dance.
Yeah, that's fine. Right?
No, it's not.
I think it would have worked better or it could have worked just as well if Elle felt like her friendship with the group was being threatened. That gets
not
the same
necessarily
message
with
across.
Mike, just Mike.
Not even just Mike. I think you could have had a scene where she sees the gang together.
Yeah.
She's like, there's someone else who it looks like is filling my role, because that's the same story that you're getting from Mike's side, where he's like, I don't want to replace Elle.
Yeah.
That's not how this friendship group works. So like, it almost feels it's almost weirder that it did take that romantic context at that point, even though there is that sort of romance between Mike and Elle.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. So I'm not saying that your point is wrong.
No.
I'm just saying, I can see the argument.
Yeah, to me, I just feel like the way that Elle reacted in that situation, I felt was believable for that character to react in that way. And I think, what I'm seeing on Twitter, the alternative wouldn't have been believable for the character to react like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, do you want to... In that specific context,
that is the way it works.
Yeah, do you essentially want to break how this character would naturally react because you're trying to make a point about like female jealousy, or do you just want the character to react how they would? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it, but then that I think would lead into my thing of do the scene differently.
Yeah.
Like set it up because that's the thing is, whilst I 100% agree with what you're saying, that does make sense for Elle. Elle would not react any other way in that scene. It isn't the characters setting up that scene. It is a team of directors and producers who have said, let's have this specific type of scene. So I can see the problem with it, but I don't think it's as... I've not seen what the reaction's like, so I'm just hearing it from you.
Yeah.
So if it is, totally out of proportion, which it is sort of sounding like, I think people are being a bit over the top.
Yeah, there's also been a bit of a backlash to something that I actually do agree with.
Yes, I think I know what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I assume I know.
So I don't think you watched this, but there is a show called Beyond Stranger Things.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Which is kind of like how Chris Hardwick did the Talking Dead.
And you got the Throne card. What's the Throne one?
There's that. So this is actually hosted by Jim Rash, which is a weird choice for host, but it works. And there is an episode where they were talking about the snow dance scene. Oh, let's talk about that very quickly before we get into the actual like weighty topic, if you will. Loved what happened with Lucas and Max in that scene, which is one of the things we're going to talk about. Loved what happened with Mike and Elle in that scene. Will, I thought it was okay. Like, it was an okay sort of resolution.
Yeah, what does he end up doing?
A girl comes over and says like, "Oh, zombie boy, do you want to dance?"
Oh yeah, so it's like the whole maybe zombie boy isn't as insulting as...
Yeah, which was okay, but fine. And then you got Dustin, and my heart just broke for Dustin. It really did. And then you had like Nancy come over, and I get it, I do. I don't. A lot of people felt like it was good, and I'm still like, if anything, it breaks my heart more because it is just a pity dance. And while he is happy about that, it is still really tragic.
No, but I think you're looking at it the wrong way, because I don't think, because for it to be a pity dance, right, that implies that Nancy is just doing it because she's like, look at this poor lonely kid, I'm going to dance with him to make him feel better.
Yeah,
right?
She still has that moment where she's like, you were my favourite of Mike's friends.
That bit is a bit weird. The bit that I think makes it not a pity dance is the fact that I think she's doing it to make the other girls jealous. Like, she's doing the whole like, well, I know that girl over there, the one that turned Dustin down, is going to see Dustin dancing with a older girl who's...
arrogant.
What?
Huh?
What?
What?
Whatever. Anyway, dancing with an older girl.
Yeah.
And...
older, attractive girl.
Yeah.
Arrogant.
Why arrogant?
Bit full of herself, isn't she? Oh, look at me. I'm so attractive and old.
Sure.
These other girls are going to be so jealous of Dustin dancing with me.
No, but what it will do is make the other girls not necessarily jealous, but like go, wait a minute, how is Dustin getting this girl to dance with him?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a pity dance. I think it's a move to be like, Dustin is cool. This will help people see that.
Maybe.
So I think I get why you read it that way, because that is the way me and you would react if someone tried to do that to us, is we would be very negative about the whole thing and be like, I don't want to do this, you're just doing it as a pity thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think that's probably, tarnished by our own views.
Yeah. But yeah, so okay, so talking about the scene, they discussed this scene on Beyond Stranger Things.
Yes.
And basically, the actress that played Max, which is Sadie Sink, was saying it was her, the Duffer Brothers, and I think the actor that played Lucas, I think.
Yeah.
They were talking about the kissing scene, right? And how so Mike and Elle, I think, went first, and they got like a round of applause afterwards. And then the next day, one of the Duffer Brothers said to Sadie, "Oh, are you ready for your kissing scene with Lucas?" And Sadie was like, "That's not in the script." And then on this Beyond Stranger Things episode, the Duffer brother, I can't remember which one it was like, "Because you reacted so negatively to me saying, 'Are you ready for your kissing scene?' I had to put it in there."
Yeah.
Which then takes on this thing of where it is an adult forcing a young teenager to do something because the adult, who is also in a position of power and authority, has seen that it makes that child uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that is hugely problematic.
Yeah, 100%.
What's weird, I find, is that the scene plays so well that I almost am surprised that it wasn't scripted that way.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it is just such a natural conclusion to their storyline.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't quite kind of figured out how I feel about that at the moment, that like revelation. Because it makes me really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think it's definitely hugely problematic.
Yeah.
I think it's, just... I can see how someone fucks up like that. As someone who volunteers at a youth group, you do become friends with these people.
That's kind of, I think...
The trick is to remember that whilst you can be their friend to an extent, you are still the adult in the situation.
Exactly.
And it feels like they probably forgot that.
Yeah, like trying to play devil's advocate, right? And look at, okay, what is a situation where this could happen? You've probably worked with these kids for weeks, if not months.
Yeah.
You probably have a rapport with them. And you probably, I think anytime as an adult you deal with kids, you have certain barriers up to protect the kid.
Yeah.
And it's possible that just through like familiarity or whatever, that those barriers come down and you can sort of interact with the kid on their level, on like a friendship level.
Yeah.
But I think it's easy to forget that position of power that you were in when you have that position.
Yeah, I mean, even then, what we're saying, both of us are saying, it does. Even with the understanding of how someone fucks up like that, I could never see how you get to that point in it, because
it's really
I don't know
weird,
how
right?
alarm bells weren't ringing the moment his brain went, "Oh, she's uncomfortable doing that. I'll do a funny joke where I say, 'Oh, are you ready for the kissing scene?' And then instead of that funny joke ending with 'I'm just joking, don't worry about it,' obviously or not,
then
it's
is
not in the
I'm
script.
going to make
It's
you
somehow
do this.
it somehow escalates, because that's not a prank at that point.
No.
If I say to you, Liam, stick your hand in this jar of slugs, and you're like, I don't want to because this jar of slugs is disgusting, and I'm like, Liam, don't you remember we agreed you would? And you were like, oh, did I?
Yeah.
The funny part of that is when I go, no, I'm just kidding, Liam. Don't put your hand in this jar of slugs. It's not funny. It becomes mean if I then just go, no, stick your hand in the jar of slugs.
Yeah, it's very... that becomes very bullying then. It's like, right, what can I make this person do?
There's not a funny joke. What's the funny joke? What's the punchline to the end of that joke where he then goes, haha, you just kissed that boy?
Yeah. And, okay, it could just be that the way they presented it on this show was maybe wrong in that potentially she reacted that way. He was like, oh, no, this would be funny. Then he went away, thought about it, and was like, oh, actually, this is like the perfect way to end this storyline for those characters. And maybe that kind of part of it was missed out on the discussion they were having.
Yeah,
possibly. But that is also really reaching to try and excuse something that you shouldn't really have to excuse.
No, it shouldn't have happened.
No.
Because it's also, I think me and you, because we were talking about this before.
Yeah.
And I believe we both, and Dan, who we were also talking to, sort of came to the conclusion that actually you didn't, whilst the kiss worked in that scene,
you didn't need it. No.
They are young enough kids that I don't need to see them kissing to be like, oh, he got the girl. Like, a hug is enough.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If two kids that age are hugging, I'm like, oh my god, it's young love.
Even holding hands.
Yeah, I mean, literally a boy touching a girl anywhere,
Yeah,
That sounds
like at any age is impressive to me.
If he can get over the cooties.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. So it's weird, right? Because I kind of, in some respects, I have to like the Duffer Brothers because they've given me this great show. But then something like this happens, and you're just like, and especially with, look at the bigger picture of what is currently going on with like the entertainment industry and Hollywood and stuff. It just doesn't quite sit right.
No, and we're not implying that he's sexually abusing anyone.
No. It's just.
But I know what you mean. I just thought we'd better say that out loud.
Yeah, it's an example of a misuse of power.
Yeah.
I
agree.
And I just can't quite figure out how that makes me feel about the show overall. That's where I kind of sit with that at the moment. Like I enjoyed the show, don't get me wrong, but I kind of have issues with at least one of the creators now.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And I always do, like we've had lots of disagreements about this in the past. I always try and separate art from artist. But this is kind of the first time where I'm struggling with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's see how good season 3 is.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. If it's good enough, you'll forgive them.
Yeah, exactly. Jim Jeffries has a whole bit about how successful do you have to be to get away with abusing a child, and then starts quoting things like Charles Chaplin, Roman Polanski, Woody Allen. Yep. Maybe the Duffer Brothers could be added into that.
Jesus. We are not saying that they abused a child.
No, not in that respect.
It's not our place to legally say that.
No. We had some correspondence about Stranger Things.
Oh, did we, Liam?
Kat emailed us.
What did she say?
Notice how I've just dug us out of this hole brilliantly.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
It's all right. She said, here are my thoughts on Stranger Things 2.
You did dig the hole.
Here are my thoughts on Stranger Things 2.
Yeah.
Hopper is bae, whatever that means. That's something that the kids are saying now, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's it mean?
He's
bae, B-A-E.
It's like I think it's like baby, but like in a like he's not like a baby, but in like a baby.
Right. Okay.
I think it's like your boyfriend is your bae.
Okay, so she's saying Hopper
so
is
she's
her
saying
boyfriend.
she would date Hopper over you.
Yeah, well, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved Hopper as Eleven's father figure, which I think we said that relationship did work well.
Yep.
Noel Schnapp was amazing and deserves all the awards. Oh, she's just repeating stuff we've said now.
Come on, Kat. The original.
I hated episode 7. Felt like a different show. Dragged and made it feel disjointed. Yeah, we said that. Here we go.
Did you not preemptively tell Kat all the stuff we'd be talking about, Liam?
Well, I didn't know what we'd be talking about, did I?
Wow. It's all scripted.
This is a new point. Some awesome editing. Don't care how cheesy it is. The way the camera slowly turned upside down when Hopper climbs into the upside down was so good. Plus the ending when the school does the same.
Yes.
Did a little heart
actually, that is a good point. We didn't talk about that, and I love that ending.
Yeah, okay. I agree. Those two examples that she used were great. They also did that technique, I think, at least another 2 times where it didn't feel quite as necessary or quite as good. So like, those 2 times she pointed out, I agree, I liked. There was another 2 times where I kind of rolled my eyes and was like, oh, we're doing that again, are we?
What a surprise. Liam doesn't like something.
She said, overall the season was awesome and I cannot wait for more. Did I mention Hopper is bae?
You did.
She did. We also had some tweets about Stranger Things.
Oh, what did they say?
Marcus, at the Marco guy, said, it was fantastic. Sure, episode 7 was a bit out of place, but overall it was a pretty fantastic season.
Yep.
And then I kind of just was saying I didn't like episode 7, and he said, I didn't hate it, just thought it was a weird departure from the rest of the show. Then Atlantic Screen Connection chimed in, saying, didn't care for Lost Sister either, which was the name of episode 7.
Can we stop adding emotion to people when they're tweeting you?
What do you mean?
You said that very aggressively.
Although it felt like a tribute to the Runaways, probably wasn't. I didn't care about those characters.
I want there to be, just sidetrack here, I want there to be a Runaways TV show, because the Runaways is one of my favourite things.
Okay, I don't know what it is. Is it comics?
I'm assuming they're talking about the Runaways comics, because that's what that felt like. Okay. But maybe not. If it's something else, then we have differing opinions. But just side note, I want there to be a Runaways comic TV show.
Yeah. Also, they said, I also feel like not much happened. Sure, the characters evolve. The focus on Will is great. Yet Mike's arc is basically, will he kiss 11? Which, that's another point, right? That we didn't mention is, like I said, as much as I didn't really know what to do with 11, they also kind of, it felt like both 11 and Mike were kind of in limbo for a lot of this season. Because
I think because their characters are tied together so
exactly
much that it's when Eleven doesn't have anything to do. What do you do with Mike?
Yeah, exactly. And I know, like, when kind of watching this Beyond Stranger Things, they were saying that the first, like, part of the season, they basically referred to Mike as emo Mike, because all he was doing was just being sad. And, like, you only really see Mike start becoming more like Mike when he realises that something's going on with Will.
Yeah.
And they're saying a part of that is basically Mike identifies himself now, especially after the last season, as someone that he needs to be needed by others. So in the first season, he needed to be needed by 11, and that gave him purpose. And once he saw that Will needed him, that gave him purpose again in this season. And I don't want him to be boiled down to just that. I think there's more to be done with him than just that.
But that in itself could be interesting if they make it more of a point, but like actually a point. So instead of just not doing anything with him, make it a point that he's doing that.
Yeah.
Because that's fine them saying that, but I didn't get that from this season. But now that you've told me that, like, I think that could be quite interesting with the whole, because the way his family structure is.
Yeah.
I can see how a kid can become like that when you've got Nancy, the sort of perfect daughter. If I remember rightly from season 1, everyone's sort of, Nancy's the smart one, right?
Yeah, basically.
And it's sort of like got that air of people they care about Mike, but they sort of don't.
Yeah. Well, like I said, all these kids are basically like outcasts, right? All of the main 4.
Yeah.
So when you have like Nancy being the perfect one, and you got Mike who
plays Dungeons and Dragons like a loser.
Exactly. Atlantic Twin Connection said that Steve getting bullied by Billy. Why? Billy is as useless as they come, in my opinion. Are they setting him up for something bigger? Perhaps. We had Chelsea tweeted us saying, darker than season 1 for sure, way more horror than adventure, but overall I loved it. Didn't have the issues most people did with the sister episode. Loved Steve this season when I didn't really like him last season the way my friends did.
Yeah.
And Atlantic Screen Connection piped in again saying, I really like Steve, also it's Billy that's the issue.
Can you also stop saying piped in and like you're making it sound like you don't want Atlantic Screen Connection to talk to us?
No, I did. And also they said they didn't like the scene where Billy confronts Steve. No, the scene where he flirts with the mum.
Which is your favourite scene of the entire season.
They said, I don't know about that scene. He just had his confidence squeezed out of him by his dad, and he regains it immediately. Which, I get where they're coming from with that criticism, but I'm willing to overlook it because that scene was so damn good.
Yeah.
Lee tweeted us saying, outside a good season for Steve and some adorable crushes, this was pretty much the same. Lost interest by the end as it lost focus. And the show also didn't deserve Sean Astin and took the safe road in almost all cases. Still, can't fault that production design. What a pretty time it was. I have to admit, like the big climax with 11 shutting the gate, I kind of was a little bit underwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it so long as it is setting up stuff, which it looks like it is for the next few seasons. Because with that final scene, like that, the finale of it is kind of shit. Until you see that they've clearly pissed off the
Mind Flayer.
And I don't think they've dealt with it.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm sort of hopeful that it's like, instead of them focusing on just one season, it's them being like, we've got another season.
Yeah, I think they've definitely said they want to do season 4. And I think I read somewhere them saying they would be open to potentially a season 5, but not much beyond that, because they kind of,
I want it to have a definite end.
Yeah.
I much prefer when a show knows it's got that limit, so it knows to round shit off.
Yeah, they're basically saying they need to end it before the kids get too old.
And then 100% in 10 years they're going to do Stranger Things 2.0.
Oh yeah, the high school reunion.
Yeah, they'll do an It.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
What would you give the show out of 5, or the season of the show?
I would give Stranger Things 2 I think it's a 4 out of 5.
I would agree with that assessment.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if I wanted to give it a 4.5, but I don't think I can.
I think season 1 maybe would have got a 4.5.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But the season 2 is a solid 4.
Yeah, which is good. It's great. I think everyone should go watch it, and if they haven't seen season 1, go watch both. Cause
yeah, I'm kind of tempted. Like when I go back home for Christmas, my mum likes to watch a show together. And I think this might be the show that I suggest we watch this year.
Has she ever watched Stranger Things?
No.
Oh, cool. You should do that.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then you should start flicking the lights on and off.
Yeah, she'd appreciate that.
And be like, Mummy, I'm trapped in the upside down.
Don't know if she'd appreciate that.
I'd appreciate if you actually would get stuck in the upside down, because then you'd have a really cool catching up with.
I mean, it took him like a month to find him or something.
Oh, we pretty much had a month between this episode and the last
true.
one.
Next time on Nerd on Nerd.
Yeah, we're not a fucking TV show, mate. Talk normally.
Talk how I want, thank you very much. It's our anniversary special. 2 years of doing this shit.
Yay.
We're going to do something really special for it. Last year, the special thing we did was erotic fan fiction. We can't top that.
We're never going to top that.
No, like, Amanda actually wrote erotic fan fiction about us, and that was just beautiful.
Tom wrote a really good one.
No, he didn't. Tom found a really good one.
Write a really good one.
Yeah. I mean, let's credit where credit's due. Amanda wrote one. Tom found one.
That's fair.
But this year, we are doing something different, aren't we?
Yes, Liam. Everyone knows...
Oh, here we go.
Liam.
Yeah.
The second anniversary
yeah.
is the cotton anniversary in
is
the
it?
Traditional theme. Of course, in the modern theme, it's China. I assume they're talking about the crockery and not the country, because I don't know how you give someone the gift of China. The colour, of course, is red. The gemstone is garnet, or the alternate stone is rose quartz. And the anniversary gift suggestions, I should click here.
So this is what people should be giving us.
Oh, no, sorry, I'm not clicking on that link. I just read it out.
Okay. So what we're doing...
Yeah.
We're going to write a letter to each other to read out on the show.
Yeah.
And then we're going to write another letter to ourselves to be read out in 5 years' time.
We're not getting to 5 years.
What do you mean we're not getting to 5 years?
We're getting to 20.
Yeah, that would be year 7 by the time we get around to reading it.
That's true, that's a good point.
So, optimistic, but I'm just thinking, if we'd have done this, like, even last year, how funny your letter would be.
Yeah, that would have been good.
So, we missed a trick there, but, who
You
knows?
never know, Liam. Maybe by then you'll have come out.
Yeah, maybe, or something else could have happened.
What if one of us dies?
It's going to be a real sad episode.
Yeah, like, if one of us dies, do we have to come back in 5 years and read their letter?
Well, I mean, what I've always thought is, if you die, I'm just going to get someone to replace you and carry the show on.
And then would they read
like an
the letter
LE
I sent
2.0? Yeah. So they would read it, and we just kind of be like, "Huh, oh, that's sad," and then we just carry on, business as normal.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right, listeners? You can get involved. You can either write us a letter to read on the show, or write us a letter to read in 5 years' time. I say letter, email us. Let's not be silly.
Don't write us a letter. If you're going to email us one that is to be read in 5 years...
Put it in the subject.
Subject.
Because we don't want to read it by accident.
Just all capitals, 5 years,
yeah,
and then, like, your name or something so we can differentiate it. Because that way, we can put it in a folder on the email and not read it.
Exactly. And that's the key, I think.
Because if we read it...
It just won't be as funny.
It.
Yeah. So yeah, please get involved. We think it could be quite funny.
Yeah.
Also,
I don't know what the fuck I'm going to write.
Oh, no, I haven't figured that bit out yet either. But also, what do you think about Ellie's big news? What do you think about our announcement? Well, your announcement, I guess.
Yeah, why are you trying to steal it, buddy?
Well, I was going to say, what do you think about our big change? But then I just thought,
okay,
it's not that big, is it? Because you've always been that way. It's
exactly. We just didn't realise.
Exactly. How do they do that?
Oh, you can email us at nerdonnerd. Actually, is it Nerd on Nerd Pod? I've sort of forgotten the email. We've not done this for so long.
It's Nerd on Nerd Pod, I believe.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, I feel like it's been years.
Yeah, well, you were busy.
nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com. That's the email. You can tweet us at nerdonnerd, not pod, at nerdonnerd.
Yes, well done.
You can go to, we are on Facebook. Facebook.com/nerdonnerdpod with dashes? Without dashes.
Without. Email is definitely nerdonnerdpod@gmail.com. I just checked.
Cool. Yeah. Facebook.com/nerdcats is a page. Just message them. Facebook.com/nerdcats. They're an internet company in Dhaka, Bangladesh. So
ignore all that. It's not important.
Their banner image it just says "We're back, bitch."
Wow.
They've got like 2 posts.
What's our Facebook?
I don't know. I've sort of got distracted by Nerdcats.
I think ours is like Nerd on Nerd Pod.
I don't think Nerdcats is about cats. I'm trying to find out.
Ours is Nerd on Nerd Pod, all one word.
Thank you, Liam.
We've got a YouTube. What I've decided to do with that is basically nothing.
Okay, cool. We have a YouTube, there's nothing on it.
I'm going to relaunch it in the new year.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is spend between now and then, basically... So what I had been working on up until all the issues we had was I was redoing all of our old videos. I've now got to redo all of the stuff that I redid.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to launch it in the new year, basically, because fuck it.
Cool. You can also rate and review us on iTunes.
Yeah, no reviews have been left since we last recorded. I checked.
You can go on our SoundCloud and leave comments on there. That's the thing.
Yeah, Lee did that in the past, and I believe we read those comments out. So
I think so.
You could do that, and maybe... Here's the thing, right? You can kind of tweet us potentially with the hope that we'll talk about you and, you know, kind of confirm your existence, which is nice, because how do you know you exist unless people talk about you, right?
Oh shit, what if we don't exist?
Well, we do, because we talk about us a lot.
Okay.
You could also just email us, because that's nice, right? It's a nice thing to do. It makes us happy.
Don't tweet us the letters, because whilst Twitter are increasing their character limit, I don't think that's long enough for a letter.
Also, it's going to be really hard to find in 5 years' time.
Yeah, that would be a bloody nightmare.
So, email the letters, definitely. But also just tweet us. Like, your
We're going
thoughts.
off course. I'm just going to wrap it up. Any final thoughts, Liam? Oh my god, what am I doing? That time I legitimately forgot. Oh, Liam.
Yeah.
Liam.
Yeah.
I'm a bloody idiot.
I know.
Is what I am. Jesus.
I know.
You thought I was doing it as a joke last week, but I did actually nearly forget, so when you brought it up, I was so relieved.
Yeah.
Liam.
Yes.
I didn't update it when you told me the number last time.
Brilliant.
So the last time I've got it written down is 1103.
Okay.
What are you on now?
1089. We should explain this a bit for anyone who maybe is a first-time listener.
Liam's shit.
There we go. Thanks for listening to Nerd on Nerd. Bye.
Bye.
And music.